everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of Entering Operations. If you can't tell by the music, we are going into Dread Fortress today. So, we are going to be talking everything regarding Dread Fortress, starting from story mode all the way to Nightmare Brontes, which is currently considered one of the hardest, if not the hardest, and Nightmare operations aside from gods. Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you so very much for the host. Thank you everyone for coming out today. Thank you for all of the subs. That was Jay Muscleman for 8 months in a row. That is incredible. Hey Marks, hey Ducky, hey Joshua, hey Cinder, hey Kagi, hey Tom. Anyway, I hope you guys are ready. I've been very excited. Hi, Jay. I've been very excited about Dread Fortress. Dread Fortress is one of my favorite operations in the game. Hey, Faz. So I'm really excited about going through Dread Fortress with you guys and talking a little bit more about my favorite operation in the game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and meet our experts and let's get this party started. Hi, Yakeem. How are you doing today, hun? Alrighty then. Let's get this party started. Hello everyone. How are you doing?
Terrible.
Persons with knowledge of the Nova
Terrible.
blades and their tactics are urged to
Hate
report
it.
to the nearest operation
We're
droid
going to
at
be doing
once.
story mode.
I am up at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Pretty bad.
Oh, poor baby.
Oh, fuck.
All right, we're going to go ahead and introduce you to our experts. So, Bishop, how are you today, aside from having to drive?
I'm fine, bro.
You're fine?
Yeah, as soon as this ends, I'm gonna eat like a fucking feast or something, but I'm good.
Bishop is one of our tank experts. He's probably the best tank in the game. He
Fake
plays...
news.
Yeah.
You should see me last night.
Yeah,
That was
pretty
definitely
fake.
not true.
Well, that's because you were playing a Marauder, dude.
No.
Oh, for gods.
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Dash on.
Oh yeah, that too. That was pretty. But yeah, best tank, right? That was the
Best
best
tank.
move.
Anyway, Bishop plays all 3 classes of tanks, so if you have any questions regarding anything, especially tank mechanics, Bishop is the person to ask. Bishop also plays Marauder, Sniper, Merc. Like, this is a jack-of-all-trades player here, so again, if you have any questions about tanking, this is the guy. I actually already have it. Which one's the best tank, Bishop?
What's the best tank?
What's the best
Jug.
tank? Jug? There you go.
Always.
Always Jug. Thank you so much. And next for our, speaking of Jug, our Jug DPS expert, Kagi Wagi. How you doing, Kagi?
Hey guys. Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you so much. You excited to get Gatecrasher on one of your Jugs today?
Always excited for Gatecrasher.
Always excited for Gatecrasher. So if you guys don't know Kagi, Kagi is a Star Wars influencer / content creator. He is also, I think, you were the one of the top 3 Jugs for PvP rank season last season, correct?
No, that was top 3 in group ranked season 8, solo ranked top 3 season 9.
So this guy knows his stuff. He's been playing Jugs since launch. Beta, actually, right? You've been playing since beta?
Launch. Let's go with launch.
We'll go with launch. Okay, so if you guys have any questions regarding Vigilance Juggernaut, Vigilance Guardian, Vengeance Juggernaut, this is the guy to ask. Next, we have Karuvi / Mandrius. He is our Merc DPS expert. How you doing?
Good. I'm trying to find things right now.
Trying to find things right now. You're also a Merc healer, correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. I thought you were a healer main.
I hate it. No. What?
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah.
So, Karuvi has been DPSing and healing for a Nightmare Gods team recently, so I really wish you the best on your Nightmare Gods progression. If you guys have any questions regarding Merc / Commando, this is the gentleman to ask. He plays all 3 specs, so
Does he?
yes, he does.
How do you feel about Arsenal?
Wait, what?
How do you feel about Arsenal?
How do you feel about Arsenal?
When did they add that to the game?
All right, Creepy, thank you so very much. Next, we have Tom. Tom is our operative healer expert. How are you doing today, Tom?
Yeah, alright.
Just all right?
Just alright.
I'm going to brag a little bit about Tom yesterday. During Raid, we had our other healer DC on Nightmare Corruptor 0, and we didn't wipe it all because Tom here solo healed Nightmare CZ. So I just want to throw that out there. I'm pretty proud of Tom. Tom's an awesome healer. If you have any questions regarding operative healing, this is the guy to ask.
Wonder when AFK on CZ.
Also, he is a fantastic stealth reser, so if you guys have any questions regarding stealth res and how to pull them off effectively, including 7 stealth reses during Terror Nightmare, this is the guy to ask.
Please, no.
Wonder, my Sork healer bro, how you doing?
Hello, doing great.
We are so happy to have you back. Wonder has been in Morocco for studying abroad, but we are so happy to have you back.
What's her name?
Oh, Wonder, are you happy to be back in the States?
Always.
Wonder is our Sork/Sage healer expert. If you have any questions regarding Sork healing, this gentleman, I really have yet to see a better Sork healer, and I know that Ram Man's going to be on me for that, but honest to God, I don't think I've seen a better Sork healer than Wonder. Zab, last but not least in any way, shape, or form, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Zab is tanking for us, but he is my lightning madness, so he's my lightning Sork, madness Sork / telekinetic sage, balance sage expert. He's awesome. I actually learn a lot from Zab when I'm playing lightning Sork. I bug him all the time, so I'm sure he can attest to that. So
I like how anytime somebody throws out like a random fact or like they're like,
wait, what?
actually Sork is. Anytime somebody says like Sork does this, and they're like, that's bullshit. And they're like, oh, that was Zab told me. They're like, oh, okay.
Anyway, if you guys have
That's
any
what
questions,
Zab says, okay, then it's fact.
then it's fact, yeah. But if you have any questions regarding DPS Sage or Sork, this is the guy you want to talk to. Finally, I'm Lady Ran. I am currently a sniper / Sork main, but I will be answering any questions regarding sniper. So with that, I would like to go ahead and move on into actually doing Dread Fortress. Okay, so Dread Fortress has a storyline that starts here on the Imperial Fleet. You can also find it on your mission board in your personal ship, but if you don't want to go to your personal ship, you're going to want to talk to this droid right here. His name is D5F2. He can be found in the supply section of the fleet, this side over here, for the Imperial Fleet, and then I believe he is flip-flopped on the pub fleet, so he's on the opposite side on the Republic fleet. You're going to talk to him. Darth Maul is going to tell you that the Dread Masters, if you did the Belsavis Imperial Planetary storyline, that the Dread Masters that you freed are wreaking havoc, and he's going to send you to help a mission on Oricon. Oricon is located in the very top portion of where Drummond Kaas, so that portion of the map. The seat of the Empire is what it's called. I still want to know why they put a body type for Twi'lek as the loading screen for Dread Fortress, or for Oricon, but I guess that's neither here nor there. You also get Oricon itself as part of the quest chain. Yes, you do. Yes. So in order to get the storyline to go into the Dread Fortress, you will have to do the storyline for Oricon. And that continues through this character up here, Lord Hargrev, right here. I actually still have the story mission myself, but I'm not going to do all of the dailies today. There's going to be I think it's about 10. It's 10 short missions. 10 short missions on Oricon that ends with a Heroic 2. Once you complete the Heroic 2, and once again talk to Lord Hargrev, Hargrev is going to tell you that it's time to storm the Dread Fortress. And the speeder is going to appear. You're going to have the Dread Fortress Bridge pop up as an available transport option, and that's going to bring you to the Dread Fortress Bridge. I haven't done the mission over here. A small task of a million missions. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's 5 dailies and 1 heroic. Thank you very much, Tom. If I don't play NG, I'm trolling. Oh, replace target. There is also a codex entry right here. It is for the Dread Fortress. You just go ahead and click this little flag here, and then you actually move on. There are two entrances, and I just want to point that out. There's going to be a portal over here, and then a big entry right over here. This entry is the Dread Fortress. The portal will bring you to the Dread Palace, which we're going to be covering about next time. But you don't want to touch the palace. Palace is later. All right, since Dread Fortress is one of the operations that has the most significant differences from story mode to hard mode to nightmare. So we're actually going to do all 3 difficulties for you today. We're going to kind of rapid fire go through story mode and have long explanations during hard mode. But we definitely wanted to point out the biggest differences between story mode and hard mode that tend to trip people up. Hi, we are 6 DPS, 1 tank, 1 heals. I can dig it. So, but once again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask during any of the boss pools. I will be directing them to the experts. If I don't catch it, my mods will be directing it to me, and I will direct it to the experts. So please feel free to ask around. You have a question, Andrew? All right, what's going on, my dude? I gotta turn this up. Why am I not playing NG? Because I'm a bad sniper. That's why. All right, Kruvy, Zab, and Tom. You guys ready?
I'm not standing with you.
One more ready check.
Unless I get a guard.
One more ready check. NG best spec. Alrighty.
3, 2, 1.
She will collect her toll in blood.
So one of the biggest differences in story mode Nefra for sure. Seems a little bit loud. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down. It's a little bit loud. There we go. There are no droids. There are no droids whatsoever in story mode Nefra. Not at all. You still want your tanks, even if you have an off tank or you're just solo tanking this fight, you still want both of your tanks to stand in front of... Wait, there are droids, aren't they? Yeah, there are droids. But you basically just ignore them. I apologize. Like, they literally do nothing. You can stand in... Yeah, they're there. They just, like, legitimately do nothing. In hard mode and in Nightmare, they will one-shot you. In hard mode, they will take a significant chunk of your health out. In story mode, you just kind of ignore them. No, this is not Nightmare. We're going to be going through all 3 difficulties of Dread Fortress today. So you want your... So the reason I'm sitting out of the group is that in hard mode and in Nightmare, I'm going to be, as the range DPS, I'm going to be baiting the droid to come and attack me only. So that way the people stacked behind the boss won't have to move. This is especially important in Nightmare because in Nightmare, she does an ability called Nightmare Twin Attack, which happens at 15 stacks. And hello, Conquest, I can dig it. So you only want to have one person standing out to bait the droids. Other than that, you want everyone stacked behind the boss, and then the tanks in front to help with the cleave. Thank you, on Conquest. I appreciate it. All right, the puzzle. There is no puzzle in story mode. In story mode, we're going to just run through the entrance because this front gate is open. Thank you, Rain. Very cool. This gentleman does. There you go. There is the slam. You're going to see that on the next box. All right. What stats should you be stacking as a jug tank? Bishop and Zab, talk to me a little bit about stats for jug tanking.
So, for all tanks, a good benchmark is around, or not around, but no more than about 2,000 shield and at least 1,400 absorb. The thing with Jug, you have to keep in mind when you gear them, is that in actual combat, Aegis Assault will give you 3% absorb. So with that in mind, you definitely have more reason to keep your shield a little bit higher and your absorb doesn't need to be as high as you would on like another class because you have that 3% buff. So that in mind, I believe with I'm also running 600 crit on my jug most of the time because tank gearing is kind of low.
Frames are set.
So that being said, I think off the top of my head, I have something like 49.9% absorb and 44% absorb, or 49 shield and around 44% absorb. But during actual combat, that goes up to 47. When I switch to him, actually, I'll give you exact rating for what I run.
Also, I've also linked, this is a chart for all tanks done by Bishop and his an AX. So that tells you exactly how many augments you want. So I've linked that in chat right now. So definitely this is what I recommend to all people who ask about tanking questions. This is a great guide, especially regarding stats. All right, Draxus. The biggest difference in story mode Draxus is that there is a lack of an ad called the Bulwark. Bulwarks make their appearance in hard mode and in Nightmare, and they're going to appear here. Draxus has 9 waves, and we're going to talk a little bit about that during the fight, and we're going to talk about it more during hard mode, but we want to show you a little bit about what story mode Draxus looks like. The biggest things for story mode is honestly just making sure the boss doesn't cleave the group. That's honestly, the little Subtaroths don't explode, nor do they leave a debuff. Kruby, you ready? So the biggest thing for story mode Draxus is just to make sure that Draxus does not cleave the group on the tanks. You want to learn Sniper 2? Hey, shots. So he has an ability called Suppressive Fire. That's a conal, and the thing that we're talking about, cleaving the group. So this is wave 1. Wave 1 is going to consist of Subtaroths. You want to kind of just group them in the middle and AoE them down. This is wave 2. So you're going to have your raid teams separated into 2 groups, left and right. We are going to, when somebody says we're going to leave an ad up on left, that is to help with the phase transitions, or any left or right. This is wave 3. It's going to consist of a Corruptor. And the harder difficulties, it's imperative to interrupt the Corruptor as they put out a Mass Affliction. That does hurt. So we're going to leave one ad up on left side. But since the boss is already up, at that point, after the Corruptor and after the ads are significantly or where you want them to be, you're going to go on to the boss until the boss leaves. Dismantlers. They don't really hurt in story mode, but they do this ability called Strong Swipe. That is the #1 killer of people in the Draxus fight itself, is the Strong Swipe. That can be mitigated through rolls, like I can roll it. This is wave 5. There's going to be 2 Corruptors into the back. You take out the Corruptors first. Yeah, Mass Affliction really hurts. It actually hurts more in hard mode than it does in Nightmare, which is a very interesting thing. Wave 6 consists of the Dismantler, so the Strong Swipe ads, a Corruptor in the back, and then a new ad called the Despoiler. He is going to heal all of the different ads in the group, so you want your tanks, or your tank, or a healer primarily, to either CC him or just work on the interrupts on those. This is wave 7? Question mark? Math is hard.
Yeah.
2 Guardians. They're going to have the same kind of conal. Once again, you just want your tanks to turn them away from the group. Wave 8 is going to consist on 2 Corruptors on each side. Once again, you want to interrupt in story mode. You want to interrupt. There's the Mass Affliction. It looks just like an affliction from a sorcerer. Wave 9, the boss is going to be down in the middle. In story mode, you can just go ahead and attack the boss. However, there's going to be a whole bunch of other ads up at the same time. So if you're struggling, really would recommend helping clean up the ads, pop defensives, help your healers out. Yes.
What the fuck?
There's a very, very rapid fire explanation of Draxus, but we are going to go over it more in hard mode when we have all of the ads up. but that is just a very rapid fire explanation and a demonstration of story mode Draxus. The thing that causes most wipes in story mode is the strong swipe from the dismantlers and not properly mitigating. The Guardians of the Fortress cleaving the groups and heals not being able to keep up.
That's something that we'll talk about in Hardmode. Biggest thing with those guys is if you don't handle them correctly as tanks, they'll their telegraph isn't accurate and it'll ask please. So that's something that whoever has aggro of the Guardians has to control. I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. There's a way to actually prevent it, but it's not reliable, but it kind of lowers the chance of it happening.
This is Suicide Hallway, by the way. It doesn't really matter in story mode, but when Dread Fortress first was released, these droids, when they exploded, would kill anyone, even in story mode. They did recently, they changed that, in 4.0 to make it so that way in story mode the ads do not kill people who are caught in their explosion. You will die, though, in hard mode and in Nightmare. So, just keep that in mind. Alright, Grob'Thok, or Johnny Grob'Thok, or however you would like to call it. This is primarily more of a tank and spank in story mode. As you can see, there's a very small, very slow-moving magnet over here. That is going to come into factor later when he does an ability called Pipe Smash. When Pipe Smash goes out, your tanks are when Pipe Smash is getting ready to start channeling, your tanks are going to want to have the boss in position, so that way there's only one smash that goes out. This is super imperative for Nightmare and in hard modes. In story modes, it doesn't really matter. Thank you very much for that compliment, Philippe. Hulk Smash. In story mode, it doesn't really matter, but in hard mode, and in Nightmare, the Pipe Smash is an interrupt, and does a massive amount of damage. In Nightmare, 2 Pipe Slams will kill you unless the changes to the gear have made that irrelevant. I think you can get, 3 Pipe Smashes off in Nightmare now?
Mitigatable.
It's mitigatable, yeah. But typically you want no more than 2. Hello, Amanda. How are you? Thank you so very much for the resub. Alrighty. It's clearly blonde today. Thank you. So, Grob'Thok is going to open with an what is it called again? Something smash? Overhead smash. Zab and Bishop, talk to me a little bit about tanking, just a little bit about story mode tanking.
Get him into the magnet for pipe smash, I guess. I mean, you could let him just literally free cast it the whole time, but it's annoying. And it's a DPS buff to get him in the magnet. So
it is.
So when he does pipe smash,
I'll be after this.
Bishop is super quiet. Okay, let me adjust that.
I think it's 3 roars and certain mode or some shit.
And 4 in hard mode and Nightmare, that's a tank swap, correct?
Yeah.
Right, the roars are tanks because it'll knock you back and it'll reset all your...
Alright, here is the Pipe Smash. As you can see, it doesn't really do much in story mode, but we did bring him into the magnet. So, and that's when you pop your adrenals, that's when you pop your raid buffs. So, and then there are ads, and then one other factor is a mining droid. A mining droid is targeted Malachar, so you're going to drop fire. You will get stacks. If you sit in the fire for too long at 10 stacks, you'll die. Because you take a whole bunch of damage, it melts your armor. In story mode, it doesn't really matter, but it still will kill you. I see most deaths when it comes to the mining droid. You just kind of want to kite it around a little bit. But other than that, Grob'Thok is really primarily a tank and spank here in story mode. Bye, son of it. Was good to see you. Alright, we have a question. Comparing Jug Tank and Sin Tank, would they both be considered equal in terms of ability as tanks? Or would you say that one has an advantage over the other?
One definitely has an advantage. Sins are... It pains me to say it, but they are objectively, in terms of getting tank stuff done, the best tank. So the biggest thing. Imagine if fucking Ravage gave you 60% damage reduction, or if Rail Shot did the same. If something on such a low cooldown was able to give you such a massive benefit, that is, with facing Phantasm, that's been something that has really changed the game. But also Shroud, in terms of a cheese, and Stealth Shroud, can cheese more things than Reflect can. Reflect obviously does damage, but you have more room for error on a Sin, I feel like. Now, that's if you know the fight well. If you get taken by surprise or you don't manage your stacks, you have more spike potential than the other two. But a tank who's on top of their shit as a Sin, you can really see that in terms of just cheesing a shit ton of mechanics, and their naturally highest shield chance also as a tank, passive mitigation wise, puts them in a really good spot. There's more micromanaging in terms of stacks, so you do have to pay attention a little bit more to that. But I'd just say in terms of getting shit done, Sin is your best bet.
Sin is also one of the... Would you say that Sin is one of the easier tanks to learn how to tank effectively?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you have, if you fuck something up on a Sin, you can just be like, oh, I'm just going to use Force Speed or Shroud, and it's okay, right? I place this in a bad spot, but no worries, I can cheese it. So in that sense, it is easier. In the sense that there's more to do, though, it is a little harder, because you have to pay attention to Dark Ward, Dark Protection, which you don't really have to do on the other two tanks. It kind of, you go by, what comes off cooldown for the most part. So in that sense, you have more to pay attention to when you're learning the tank. But again, you have so many tools that if you play your cards right, the other two tanks just can't match. Unless by the grace of God, in the case of Explosive Fuel.
Thank you very much. So this is Corruptor Zero. At first, it doesn't look... This looks just more like a trash pool. However, this is the opening for Corruptor Zero. You're going to have these ads that spawn. As you can see, Corruptor Zero is actually standing up on top. We're going to just AoE down the ads, kill down the ads, and then there's going to be a brief pause. Then Corruptor Zero is a glorified trash pool, pretty much. The biggest significant changes in story mode from any of the other difficulties is the lack of a mine, which we're going to talk way more about in hard mode. Also, the laser channel has a longer channel in story mode. It's about 8 to 10 seconds. In hard mode, it's about a 5-second cast, and in Nightmare, it is a 2-second channel. 2-second cast, sorry. So honestly, the biggest places where I see story mode groups fail on Corruptor Zero is ad management. DPS are still in charge of making sure that the ads die as quickly as possible, and tank swapping. So Corruptor Zero puts out a couple of dots that you do want to have a tank swap on if your tanks aren't feeling particularly strong or they're still learning. You can solo tank this. We're gonna stack. We're gonna show you how the most effective way to complete this fight. For story mode, you're gonna see a lot of people that are kind of stragglers and they like to sit out everywhere. Yeah, that's pretty much. In hard mode and in Nightmare, you definitely don't want to have that due to that mine that I mentioned. But once again, we're going to go over the mine more in hard mode when it actually makes an appearance.
I think there's stacks in story mode.
There are no stacks in story mode? Okay. So Corruptor Zero drops. Your tank is going to bring him over to one of the sides. Everyone is going to stack, because there are two different types of ads in this fight. There are melee ads, and then there are ranged ads. In story mode, it doesn't really matter, but if you want this to be done as cleanly as possible, you guys want to go around the corner, so that way the ranged ads will follow with you, and that way you can still AoE everybody down, have as much DPS uptime on the boss as you possibly can. You can tell what what mode he's in by looking at his buffs. The double knives says that Corruptor Zero is in melee mode and will be bringing out ranged adds. In ranged mode, he is going to be bringing out melee adds. He also has an ability that doesn't hurt as much as it does in the other difficulties. He has now swapped into range. Yeah, he has no enraged timer in story mode. Ranged mode here. That means that he's going to have melee adds. Oh, there's no gravity vortex in story mode. That's a big deal. No gravity vortex in story mode. Are we going to push him before he even jumps?
Kill it quick.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay. So technically it's about 25%. 20 to 25%, he is going to jump up and he will yell out, "I will disassemble the lot of you." That is the start of his laser phase. So he's going to jump to every 4 portions of this hallway. And story mode, it really doesn't hurt. However, it is good practice because in hard mode and nightmare, it does a lot hurt. Why am I not in the middle with... So he does a very long channel in story mode. Yeah, oh, sorry. It's a 3.5 second cast in... It feels so much longer than that. In story mode, and then it's 1 second in nightmare, and then 2 seconds in hard mode. So this is just burn. We just burn him down. And he's really, really easy. But the laser is the biggest difference. The lack of mine is a huge thing. Sounds hard. Seem tougher. Yes. So... that is just the biggest differences in story mode. The places where I see people die the most are not getting the adds down. The gold adds will stun you. So you definitely want to make sure that your DPS take down the gold adds. But that's where I see most groups struggle the most, is in making ad management and heals. And we are now getting ready to move on to Brontizzle the Hizzle. You're going to have 3 groups of trash. These subterrots, you can knock them off the side, but it's easier, honestly, just to kill them. You can biochem these, by the way.
Okay, elves.
No. That's not scavenging, though.
True.
You can do both.
That's true. So you're going to have 2 sets of hands that pop up in this next hallway. It, once again, doesn't really hurt that much in story mode, but however, you want to get into good practice of interrupting the slams that they do.
No slams in story mode.
No slams in story mode. Okay, there you go then. So they just do a focused bolt. It's good to face them away if you have aggro. Like that. They do still kind of hurt. The beam or the bolt blast, they still kind of hurt. It's not a channel. You can't interrupt it. It's just something to be aware of. If you're dying, pop DCDs, line of sight. Trust your healers or don't trust your healers. Take a pick.
If you do, because I'm not tanking.
The biggest differences in Dread Fortress does come in Brontes. Story mode Brontes, the clock phase is exceptionally slow. There are no hands in burn phase. Yes, these hands are the true last boss in story mode, for sure. So there are no hands in burn on story mode Brontes. So this is going to be the biggest difference between story mode and any other difficulties regarding Brontes. Kephis, when he does his lightning channel, is interruptible. That channel is actually interruptible, and Nightmare it is not. Do people have the wings for this place? Yes, we do. I think everybody in this group has wings. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about frame setup. And this really only comes into the biggest play in Nightmare. However, yes, we have all had Red Bull. It gives us wings, indeed. Okay, so there is going to be a phase, we call it Six Finger phase. It happens after Brontes does the clock phase, where we and can we just start by killing the last one? Oh my goodness. Um, so there's going to be 6 fingers. It gives you guys. There's going to be 6 fingers that populate. There's going to be 2 hands, which are going to be on either side here, where these markers are. And there's going to be 3 hands, or 3 fingers, along each edge. This I actually highly recommend for any groups whatsoever, because if you're not standing on the fingers will free cast onto anybody into the raid team or into the raid group, and they have a habit of targeting healers. So do your healers a favor. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stack. It doesn't matter in story mode. It doesn't matter who is stacking where, as long as you're not a tank or the off tank or the DPS with taunt. You want to make sure that you're standing on one of the 3 fingers, just to make sure that the healers aren't nuked down and jaglobaled. In hard mode and in nightmare, there's going to be a specific pattern on how you want things to be done, but in story mode, all that really matters is just making sure that the fingers don't just fire constantly into the healers. Also in burn phase, what everyone is going to do is we're going to stack against this wall because there are no hands. The tanks are just going to tank on cooldown or rotate their taunts on cooldown, and that's literally it. So the biggest differences are the clock phase, Kephis, and burn. Where are the pubs at? Reaches will still hurt you in the transition between the first phase and the first Brontes phase. So you definitely want to avoid the reaches still. It won't one-shot you like it does in Nightmare or in hard mode. You will take a significant amount of damage, but you still want to get into a good habit of avoiding reaches at all cost. Tom, you ready, hon?
Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty then. If you're a sniper or a gunslinger, just precast your orbital. Range, typically want to make sure that the fingers get down as fast as possible, because once again, they have a habit of targeting healers. Want to make sure that you're keeping an eye. There are always 2 fingers that spawn in 8-man, and 16-man there are 4. In story mode, wow, is the right hand already dead? No, it's not. Okay.
It got pushed immediately after their spawn.
That is hysterical. So the hands push into the next phase at 40% on each side. Once again, you want to make sure that they're not cleaving the group. These are reaches. Definitely want to avoid the reaches. I see a lot of deaths during reaches. What you can do... Oh, Kagi, you are a bold one. What you can do, especially if you're learning or progressing the fight for the first time, you can have everyone move as a group, because the reaches will target the place where the most players are. So if you... did that change?
I think that's
It spawns like under random people.
Right.
So wherever a person's standing, that's
right. If you have everybody there, it just gives you a better chance.
Yeah, okay, there you go. It is under random? Okay. So Kephis, you want to make sure dies as fast as possible and doesn't cleave the group. Yep, there you go. Grouping keeps reaches closer and shorter range. Thank you very much for that. So, oh my gosh, are we seriously only going to get 1 Kephis? Yes, we got 1 Kephis. Okay, so clock phase will always start on the right side in story mode. Always. In hard mode, it always goes to the right side. In nightmare, it goes either left or right. You want to just CPS down these droids as fast as possible. In hard mode and in nightmare, they will one-shot your group if the beam reaches any of the droids. So you just go around in a circle, kill the droids, call it a day. Yeah, you can skip the first droid in story mode. If your DPS is lacking or if your DPS is struggling, that is a good option. Otherwise, it is easier just to kill the first droid. In the 6-finger clock phase, you want to make sure that the healer adds the healer fingers. Yeah, well, they still hurt in story mode. You want to kill the healer fingers first, because that way the healers can focus on keeping the group up. This is especially important in hard mode and in Nightmare, because in Nightmare you're going to have orbs that spawn, and the tanks are going to have a lot of work. Alright, so
I'll do one on after you do 3.
So if you have a sniper or anybody with a armor or a trauma debuff, you want to pop that here when she is in her bubble. Snipers, we want to be back here towards the back. This is burn phase, so you want to pop raid buffs, adrenals, everything you can here. Everyone's going to stack at the back. There's going to be purple circles that spawn. As the lower stacks, it really doesn't matter, but as you have higher and higher stacks, you definitely want to avoid them, especially in hard mode and in Nightmare. This is 4 stacks, so if this was Nightmare, I would be popping my shield. This is a good place to pop shields. Oh my goodness, that is hysterical. And that is a quick and dirty run of story mode Dread Fortress. That is amazing.